Hey everyone, and welcome back to CrushTalk. You know, the podcast where your passions become conversations?
Absolutely.
So today we're diving deep into the world of attraction. Those subtle signs that someone, especially a woman, might be into you.
Oh.
You know, it can feel like deciphering ancient hieroglyphs sometimes.
Right.
But don't worry, by the end of this deep dive, you'll be fluent to crush.
Fluent.
You've got a YouTube video analyzing these cues and some other documents breaking it all down.
Awesome.
So it seems like the main takeaway here is that actions speak louder than words.
Oh, they do.
Especially when it comes to attraction. What do you think?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's so easy to get caught up in what people say.
Yeah.
But those nonverbal cues are a goldmine of information.
Oh, totally.
And the cool thing is they can be both intentional, like a classic hair flip, and unintentional, like those telltale nerdist twitches.
Interesting.
That's what makes them such a fascinating window into someone's true feelings.
I love that. Okay, so our sources break down attraction into 7 key indicators.
7.
I'm all about a good list, so let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
First up, we've got prolonged eye contact.
The source actually points out that a woman's eyes can be incredibly expressive.
Right.
Maybe even more so than words.
Wow.
Extended eye contact isn't just about physical attraction. It often signals a deeper emotional connection.
I see.
Think about it. You lock eyes with someone across the room, and it feels like time stops.
Oh, yeah.
That's the magic of eye contact.
Totally. It's like this silent spark between two people. And speaking of unspoken communication, the second indicator is open body language.
Okay.
Think about leaning in uncrossed arms.
Yeah.
All those postures that suggest someone feels comfortable and engaged.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of safety and openness.
Right.
Open body language is basically a nonverbal invitation to connect. It tells you, hey, I'm relaxed, I'm present.
Yeah.
And I'm open to seeing where this goes.
I like it.
Instead of being guarded and closed off, it's about letting your guard down and inviting someone in.
Okay, so we've got lingering eye contact, we've got open body language.
Yes.
And now for the third indicator, which, let's be honest, is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Easy laughter.
Easy laughter.
You know, that genuine from the soul laughter? Especially when it's in response to your jokes, even the corny ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's a surefire sign that someone's enjoying your company.
Absolutely. Genuine laughter is like social glue.
I like that.
It creates this shared sense of joy
Right.
and strengthens the bond between two people.
Yeah.
It also suggests a level of comfort and ease, which is so important in those early stages of attraction.
I've definitely experienced that feeling of, wow, we just clicked.
Yeah,
And laughter was a big part of it.
definitely.
Now things get a little more interesting with indicator number 4,
Oh,
casual touches.
casual touches.
We're talking those seemingly innocent brushes of the hand, a playful tap on the arm. Our sources suggest these touches, while subtle, can actually be very significant.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I find it fascinating because casual touch is often a way of testing boundaries,
Interesting.
engaging the other person's reaction.
Yeah.
It's like dipping your toe in the water to see if it's warm. A light touch can signal, hey, I'm comfortable enough to break the physical barrier, and it allows you to see how the other person responds.
Right. It's all about reading those subtle cues.
Yes.
And navigating that unspoken dance of attraction. So we've got eye contact, open body language, laughter, casual touches.
We do.
It seems like we're building this foundation of comfort and connection.
Yeah.
And speaking of connection, indicator number 5 is asking personal questions.
It's true. Anyone can make small talk.
Right.
But when someone starts asking about your passions, your dreams, your fears, it shows a deeper level of interest.
That's a good point.
They're not just filling the silence. They genuinely want to know you on a more personal level. That kind of curiosity can be incredibly flattering and attractive.
I think that speaks to our desire for authentic connection.
Yeah.
It's not just about superficial attraction.
Right.
It's about feeling seen and understood for who you truly are. Those personal questions signal that someone's interested in going beyond the surface.
Yeah.
And discovering the real you.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond that initial spark.
Right.
And exploring whether there's something more substantial beneath the surface.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that true connection often comes from shared values, common interests, and that feeling of being understood on a deeper level.
This is all so insightful. Now, for indicator number 6, something a little more subtle,
Okay.
but definitely worth paying attention to.
All right.
We've got adjusting appearance.
Adjusting appearance.
Think about those little gestures, smoothing down clothes, fixing hair.
Yeah.
Maybe even reapplying lipstick. It's like this unconscious desire to look your best for someone.
It's a fascinating blend of biology and psychology. Interesting.
On a basic level, it's about wanting to appear attractive to the other person.
Makes sense.
But also speaks to our own confidence and self-presentation.
I see.
When we're attracted to someone, we want to put our best foot forward.
Right.
So those little preening gestures
Yeah.
might be a subconscious way of trying to impress.
It's like we're sending this subtle message, hey, I care about how I look to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last but not least, we come to indicator number 7.
Okay.
And this one might surprise you.
Right.
Nervousness or fidgeting. Now, you might think nervousness is a bad thing,
Right.
but our sources suggest it can actually be a sign of attraction, especially when combined with other positive indicators.
Interesting.
What do you think?
You know, it's funny how our bodies betray us sometimes.
Yeah.
When we're around someone we're attracted to, it can trigger this physiological response. Our heart races, our palms get sweaty.
Right.
We might fumble over our words or fidget nervously.
It's almost like our bodies are saying, hey, this person is important to me.
It's like that feeling of butterflies in your stomach, right?
Totally.
It can be a bit unnerving,
Yeah.
but it can also be exciting.
It is.
It reminds us that we're alive and that this connection has the potential to be something special.
Exactly. It's about embracing those nervous jitters as a sign
Yeah.
that you're genuinely invested in the interaction.
Uh-huh.
It means you're stepping outside your comfort zone.
Right.
And that vulnerability can be incredibly endearing.
Okay, so we've covered the 7 key indicators.
We have.
But before we go any further, I think it's important to remember that context is everything.
Context is key.
What might be a clear sign of attraction in one situation
Yeah,
could mean something completely different in another.
that's a really important point.
Right.
We can't just assume that everyone expresses attraction in the same way.
Of course not.
Right. Cultural differences, individual personalities, even the specific setting can all influence how these cues are interpreted.
This is where things get really interesting.
It does.
And that's what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive here on CrushTalk.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
So we were talking about how important context is
Right.
when interpreting these signs of attraction.
Right.
It's like trying to read a book in a foreign language without understanding the grammar or the cultural nuances. You might get the gist of it,
Right.
but you could also miss some key details.
Right. Just because someone holds eye contact for a little longer than usual doesn't automatically mean they're head over heels. Right?
Right.
There could be a million other reasons.
A million.
Maybe they're just trying to focus on the conversation. Or maybe they're naturally expressive with their eyes.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
It's not just about isolating one or two signals.
Right.
It's about observing patterns of behavior.
Yeah.
And how all these cues fit together. I see.
Like if someone is exhibiting several of these indicators consistently,
Okay.
and there's a genuine connection beyond the surface level, then it might be worth exploring further.
So it's like putting together a puzzle. You need all the pieces to see the full picture. And speaking of pieces, what about those cultural differences you mentioned?
Oh, yeah.
Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how different cultures
Yeah.
have different norms around nonverbal communication.
Right.
What might be considered flirtatious in one culture could be seen as simply polite or friendly in another.
Interesting.
For example, in some cultures, prolonged eye contact
Yeah.
is a sign of respect,
Okay.
not necessarily attraction.
That makes total sense. I remember traveling to Europe a few years ago and noticing how people were much more comfortable with physical touch than I was used to.
Yeah.
It definitely made me rethink my own assumptions about personal space and boundaries. It's so easy to fall into the trap of projecting our own cultural norms onto others.
Right.
But it's crucial to be mindful of these differences.
Absolutely.
Imagine how many misunderstandings could be avoided
Yeah.
if we took the time to understand and appreciate these nuances.
It's like learning a new language. The more you immerse yourself in it, the better you become at understanding the subtleties and avoiding those awkward faux pas.
Totally.
Okay, so we've talked about context, cultural differences.
Yeah.
And the importance of looking for Patterns.
Patterns.
Are there any other pitfalls we should be aware of
Yeah.
when it comes to decoding attraction?
This is where things get a little trickier.
Oh,
But I think it's important to talk about red flags.
okay.
Because as much as we want to believe that everyone has good intentions, that's
right.
not always the case.
Ooh, red flags. This is juicy. All ears.
One of the biggest red flags to watch out for is inconsistency.
Inconsistency.
We talked about looking for patterns, but if someone's behavior is erratic and unpredictable,
Okay.
that's a major cause for concern.
You mean like blowing hot and cold, being super attentive 1 minute and then distant the next?
Yeah,
Ugh, I've definitely experienced that before, and it's not fun.
exactly. It's like an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And it can leave you feeling confused and insecure.
Right.
And remember, inconsistency isn't just about communication. It can also manifest in actions.
So like someone saying they're really into you, but then constantly canceling plans or forgetting important dates.
Exactly. Actions speak louder than words.
Right.
If their behavior doesn't align with what they're saying, that's a huge red flag.
Okay.
It could be a sign that they're not as invested as they claim to be.
Right.
Or they might be struggling with commitment issues.
Okay, so let's say we've encountered some of these red flags. What do we do?
That's a good question.
Do we try to decode their behavior, confront them directly, or just run for the hills?
It's tough because every situation is unique. But I think the most important thing is to trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Right.
Don't ignore those red flags or try to rationalize them away.
You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential connection
Oh, yeah.
that we sometimes overlook those warning signs.
Totally.
We want to believe the best in people. But it's important to protect ourselves emotionally.
Absolutely. And remember, you deserve to be with someone who is consistent, reliable, and genuinely interested in you.
Right.
Don't settle for anything less.
Okay. That's really empowering advice.
I think so.
Trust your gut, don't settle. I love it. Now, I know our CrushTalk listeners are eager to hear about how to navigate those all-important conversations about attraction and interest.
Right.
Any tips on how to have those sometimes awkward but crucial conversations?
I think it starts with being honest with yourself
Okay.
about what you're looking for.
Uh-huh.
Are you open to a casual fling, a serious relationship, or something in between?
Right. Because if you're not clear on your own intentions,
Yes.
it's impossible to communicate them effectively to someone else.
Exactly. And once you're clear on your own needs and desires, it becomes easier to have those open and honest conversations.
Yeah.
And remember, communication is a two-way street.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask open-ended questions.
Okay.
And really listen to their responses.
So instead of just throwing out hints and hoping they catch them, we should be direct and clear about our feelings.
Yeah.
That seems a lot less stressful in the long run, even if it feels a bit scary in the moment.
I think so. Direct communication can feel vulnerable,
Yeah.
but it's ultimately the most respectful and effective way
Right.
to navigate relationships.
I agree.
And you know what? Even if the conversation doesn't lead to the outcome you were hoping for, at least you'll have clarity and closure, and that's invaluable.
Nothing worse than being stuck in that limbo of uncertainty.
Exactly. And sometimes that clarity is all we need to move forward with confidence
Yeah.
and open ourselves up to new possibilities.
This has been so insightful. But before we wrap things up, we have one more segment coming up here on CrushTalk,
Yes.
where we'll delve into some more specific strategies
Okay.
for navigating those tricky conversations.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to CrushTalk, where, your passions become conversations.
Absolutely.
In this final part of our deep dive, we're going to put everything we've learned into practice and explore some strategies for navigating those sometimes awkward, but totally crucial
Oh, yeah.
conversations about attraction.
They are.
We've talked about reading those subtle signs,
Right.
being aware of context and cultural differences,
Yeah.
and watching out for red flags.
Red flags.
But ultimately, the most effective way to know if someone's interested is to, ask.
Just ask.
Okay, easier said than done, right?
It is.
The thought of putting yourself out there can be super intimidating,
Yeah.
but I guess that's where those communication skills come in.
Absolutely. And remember, we talked about being honest with yourself about what you're looking for,
Yeah.
whether it's a casual connection, a serious relationship, or something in between.
Right.
Once you're clear about your own intentions, it makes those conversations a lot easier.
So instead of beating around the bush and dropping subtle hints,
Right.
It's better to be direct and upfront about your feelings.
It might feel a bit scary at first.
Yeah.
But being direct can actually save you a lot of time and heartache in the long run.
Okay.
It shows that you're confident, respectful, and that you value open communication.
I can see how that would be attractive.
Yeah.
But how do we actually initiate these conversations
Right.
without feeling awkward or coming on too strong?
Start by finding a natural opening in the conversation.
Okay.
Maybe you're talking about a shared interest, a future event, or something you'd like to do together.
Right.
Use that as a springboard to express your interest in getting to know them better.
So, for example, if you're talking about a new restaurant you've been wanting to try,
Yeah.
you could say something like, hey, I'd love to check that place out sometime. Maybe we could go together.
Exactly. It's casual, it's open-ended,
Yeah.
and it gives them the opportunity to respond in a way that feels comfortable for them. And if they're interested, they'll likely reciprocate and suggest a time to get together.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what if they don't seem interested? How do we handle rejection gracefully without feeling crushed?
Rejection is never easy,
Yeah.
but it's important to remember that it's not a reflection of your worth.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a matter of compatibility timing or personal preferences.
Okay.
The key is to respect their decision and move on with grace and dignity.
I think it's so easy to personalize rejection, to feel like we've done something wrong.
Yeah,
But sometimes it's just not a match.
exactly. And that's okay.
Right.
Every experience, even the ones that don't work out, teaches us something valuable and helps us grow.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into the world of attraction.
It has.
We've learned about those subtle finds, the importance of context and cultural differences,
Yeah.
those all-important red flags,
Red flags.
and how to navigate those crucial conversations
Yes.
with confidence and clarity.
I agree.
And to our amazing CrushTalk listeners,
Our listeners.
thank you for joining us on this journey of decoding attraction.
Yes.
Remember, communication is key. Trust your gut. And never be afraid to put yourself out there.
That's right.
Until next time, keep those crushes talking.